Travis Hunter is a legend no matter what.
You are Locked On College Football, smothered and covered, with your host, Barrett Sallee. Your one-stop shop for everything college football. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Welcome into the Friday edition of College Football Smothered and Covered. Last show of the week. My name's Barrett Sallee. You can follow me on all of the social media accounts at Barrett Sallee. 2 R's, 2 T's, 2 L's, and 2 E's. Today's show brought to you by Game Time. Download the app, make your first purchase. They'll give you $20 off your first ticket. Game Time, they do it right over there. $20 off your first purchase. Going to talk a little bit about the Army-Navy game in today's show. We'll also talk about a big-time hiring in the Mountain West. And yes, I do believe that. As an SEC guy, there's a guy going out to Sin City who I think can do a great job out there. But it is Heisman week, and I have a Heisman vote. I take it very seriously. I will not tell you right now who I voted for because the Heisman Trust might break down my door, drag me out of here, and put me in some sort of secret Heisman Trust prison. Because back about 10 years ago, there was a great Twitter account called Stiff Arm Trophy, and he would gather votes of people who are willing to release them and basically tell you who would win the trophy before the ceremony happened. He might be in that Heisman jail right now. So we will talk about that. But I think after last night's award show, you can get a pretty good gauge as to what is going to happen. Travis Hunter wins the Bednarik for the best defensive player in the country, and he wins the Biletnikoff for the best wide receiver in the country. Now, we can argue whether he deserves either of those. And I would say he probably doesn't, based on his play on specifically that side of the ball, whether it be defense or as a wide receiver. So if that's what's going to happen, if he's going to win the award for Biletnikoff, which, to throw everything else out, is he the best wide receiver in college football? You can make an argument for a bunch of different guys. He probably would be on that list, but I don't think he'd probably lead it. And then on the other hand, you have him as the defensive player of the year. Throw out the wide receiver stats. Did he have the best season as a defensive player? Probably not, but he had a great one, but probably not. So when voters, and I'm a voter for a lot of these awards, when voters sort of combine those two with their Biletnikoff vote, the Bednarik vote, or whatever, it doesn't matter. It tells you all you need to know about the voting public, who has a ballot and where their mindset is at any given time, whenever their ballots are due. For the Heisman, it was due Monday morning. For Biletnikoff, I think they sent those out last week. I know I got mine last week, I think. So everyone's sort of generally around the same time, and clog up your inbox, and you have to figure out exactly. You have to go through the motions. What is that award for? Oh, it's the Remington Center. But Travis Hunter is a legend no matter what happens, whether he wins it or whether he doesn't. And I do think that there were a lot of voters swayed by Ashton Genty's performance in the Mountain West Championship game, because a lot of people had not seen him before. And he performed in a way where, like, damn, everything they said about him is 100% accurate. But let's be real. If the voters combine all of these awards into an all-purpose award for Travis Hunter, that's what's going to happen in the Heisman Trophy race. And I saw an interesting article on ESPN. And it was an interview with Champ Bailey. And you go back and you talk about these two-way players, Miles Jack for UCLA, Champ Bailey at Georgia, Charles Woodson to an extent, although a lot of his success was on special teams. He obviously did some other stuff too. But Champ Bailey said, and look, I've talked to Travis Hunter about this, that he wants to play both ways at the NFL level next year. Champ Bailey said, you got to pick one. You got to pick one. And I think that's from experience, because I don't know if Champ Bailey had that mindset going into the NFL. I think that maybe stymied his career a little bit, and he wants to give proper advice and be like, look, man, you got to pick one. Travis Hunter is not going to do that. Travis Hunter is going to go into the NFL saying, I'm going to do this my way. And I don't think it's going to happen unless you get one of those ridiculous 12-6 NFL games like we got last night, which generally speaking, that's kind of how NFL games go. Kind of a snooze fest most of the time. But in that particular game, you didn't have a lot of snaps. But if you're talking 124 snaps a game, roughly, which I think is what he did. It might have been the last game. Might have been the second to last game. It was like 124. I think he had 131 one game. You can do that at college because you're going up against players who are not bigger, faster, stronger than you. At the NFL level, you are. And that's not a slight against Travis Hunter. He's a DB. He's a wide receiver. You stand next to him. He's a fit dude. You can tell that he's cut. You can tell that he's strong. But he's not like these NFL dudes. Now, in the NFL, it does slow down a little bit in terms of pace of play. So you're not going to, if you're Travis Hunter, you're not going to have as many snaps, but they're more punishing. And so Champ's right. And I wonder if when Travis Hunter gets into this NFL training world, which is different than what he's in right now, and Bill Belichick might disagree, but this is the same process that goes through all the time, where you sign with a training company, you go out to Arizona, or you come here to Atlanta or whatever, and you spend 3 weeks training, just lifting, and then you spend 2 weeks training for the combine, and then your pro day, and you specifically try to do things to impress NFL scouts. He's got to pick one before that. And if he doesn't, I don't think it's going to hurt his draft stock, but it's going to set him back as a rookie. And I don't want that for him. I don't want that for him. And that's the message that Champ Bailey is trying to send. And look, I think it was interesting in that Champ Bailey said, look, he wants the best for his Georgia guys. And obviously, Travis being a Metro Atlanta guy and Champ playing at Georgia, it's advice that Champ, I think, truly means on a personal level, because it's lived experience. So that's not to say Travis can't be a superstar, but going both ways, he could. But you want longevity. You want an NFL career that can last a decade. Travis is good enough to last a decade playing wide receiver or defensive back. Is he good enough to last a decade playing both? I don't think so. I don't think so. It's kind of like in baseball when you have like this Juan Soto contract, right? By the end of it, he's just going to be a DH, right? He's a minus fielder right now anyway. By the end of it, he's just going to be a DH. Is a DH worth that much? Probably not. And it's the same thing, wear and tear on your body. You're going to be a two-way player 10 years from now? No. You're going to be an NFL player 10 years from now. It might be really hard if you double up your snaps every single game. But regardless, no matter what happens Saturday, it's awesome to see Travis Hunter live a career that I don't think we sat here and thought that it would go this direction, because on National Signing Day, when he picked Jackson State, and you look at those logos on 24/7 Sports, and you see Florida State, you see Auburn, you see Alabama, you see Ohio State, and at the top you see that Jackson State logo, and you're like, well, what the hell, am I being trolled? But to see that emotion and that surprise from the public, and that move that he made, signing with Jackson State, pay off to a point where, let's be honest, he is the likely favorite, if not stone cold lead pipe lock, to win the Heisman Trophy. It's a path that we haven't really seen before. It's a path that I think will be attempted by players in the future, but never perfected. And Travis Hunter perfected it. So he's a legend. He'll always be a legend, no matter what happens on Saturday night in New York City. But I think we all know what's going to happen Saturday night in New York City. We'll take a break. When we come back, a familiar face for SEC fans going out to Sin City, Dan Mullen and UNLV. Talk about it next. It's college football smothered and covered. And of course, we are powered by the Locked On Podcast Network. Today's show is brought to you by our good friends at Game Time. Game Time does a great job. If you want tickets to anything, Game Time has it for you. They have the Game Time guarantee, which is something we absolutely love. You'll get the best price regardless. If you find tickets in the same section and row for less, Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. So that's right. If you find tickets and they drop, they'll credit you. How cool is that? They have job loss assurance. So if you lose your job and need a refund, Game Time has you covered. Event cancellation protection, they've got that too. They'll automatically give you a full refund for events that are canceled and not rescheduled. 24-hour returns guarantee. They have that as well. Return your tickets within 24 hours from the time of purchase for a full credit to your Game Time account. No questions asked. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time picks. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONCollege. That's LOCKEDONCOLLEGE for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? It's game time. All right, Dan Mullen at UNLV. I love this, but I also hate this. and I'm going to explain why. A couple of disclaimers first. I was a doubter of Dan Mullen at Mississippi State. Early on, I was right. Mississippi State fans still hated me. And then Dak Prescott happened, and they were number one in the first ever college football playoff rankings in 2014. And Mullen was phenomenal. Not directly, but indirectly, I was informed that he was not very fond of me, which is fine. I get that. I've gotten that a lot from a lot of different coaches behind the scenes. Les Miles was the worst. But Dan, throwing that aside, I like this hire. But again, they didn't like me in Mississippi State, but they also have a quote from me about Davis Wade Stadium in their hallway of their facility behind closed doors. True story. Saw it when I was interviewing Joe Moorhead for CBS back in 2019. But let's put that disclaimer out there. Another disclaimer. I love Dan Mullen on TV. I'm going to miss Dan Mullen on TV. College football final was phenomenal. He and Matt Berry were great together. So I'm going to miss Dan on those broadcasts. He was not afraid to say what he meant. He was not afraid to troll other fan bases. So I'm going to miss him on TV. With that said, I understand completely why he took the UNLV job. It's a perfect fit for him. And it's a perfect hire for the Run-In Rebels. Dan is not the best recruiter. I think Florida fans will tell you that. Mississippi State fans will even tell you that. But he doesn't really have to at UNLV all that much. Vegas sells itself. They've got a ton of money. And they've had success, obviously, the last couple of years with Barry Odom. Now, I know you can say, well, Barrett, the NIL structure isn't that good because do you remember what happened with Matthew Sluka? Fine. That's more of a Matthew Sluka thing from the folks I've talked to rather than a UNLV thing. So let's just erase that from our mindsets altogether. But if UNLV needs something, there are some very wealthy casino owners right down the road that are more than willing to help out. You're playing in a beautiful stadium right across the highway from the Strip. Oh, yeah, there is the Strip, which is a lot of fun for those of you who have been there. And I haven't in a long time, but I miss it dearly. Hopefully, we'll get out there soon. And their facility is completely redone, beautiful, state of the art, right there on the strip as well, right off the strip as well. I think it's behind MGM. And you could, sidebar, the Sphere, there's a great video out from, I think it's from last season, of, I don't know, it doesn't matter, but it was a receiver in practice going out on an out route. And the Sphere had the eyeball, and you could see it in slow motion, the receiver going out on the out route and the eyeball just kind of tilting up and looking at him. Go find that. It's hilarious. But all of that is right there, all of it. And so Dan can use all of those luxuries that are at his disposal and just coach ball. Not many places in the country can you just go out and coach ball. And Dan's going to have to recruit. I get that. That's going to have to happen, but not as much as a lot of other jobs in the country. It can recruit itself. And look at where UNLV stands in the college football world right now. Group of 5 gets at least one automatic bid to the college football playoff, as we've seen from Greg Sankey and others this week at the Sports Business Journal event, ironically in Las Vegas. Clearly, it's going to change, and they're going to add some more teams, but the Group of 5 is going to have at least one automatic bid. Where is Group of 5 football headed? Well, you have a mass exodus from the Mountain West, including stalwart Boise State, and UNLV staying. So you're talking about a team, I think, that will be the class of the Mountain West. I think that's for sure. But maybe the class of the Group of 5. Because what do you got in the AAC? And the AAC is the one that I think is the direct competitor to the Mountain West. Memphis, Tulane. Okay. Cool. Those are good programs. Any different from UNLV in terms of overall program prestige? Okay, yeah, maybe Memphis a little bit, Tulane a little bit, because they've been to what we used to call New Year's Six bowl games. UNLV has been blocked by Boise State. It's the truth. That won't happen anymore. So it's a perfect chance for, I think, Dan Mullen to revitalize his career, but it's also a perfect place for Dan Mullen to finish his career, to just be a Group of 5 coach, to be one of the best. They're going to be so successful there. So I love it for Dan on the field. I hate it off the field because I'm going to miss him on TV. And I'm going to miss him trolling other schools, programs, coaches, players. I don't think he can do that at UNLV, which kind of sucks, but whatever. So congratulations, Dan Mullen. You deserve it. It's going to be a lot of fun. We'll take a break. When we come back, we will talk about the Army-Navy game. Of course, the most heated rivalry in all of athletics, United States sports. The Army-Navy game, I haven't been. I want to go, but it's always a good time. We'll talk about it next. Hey, don't forget, you can be a college football smothered and covered insider. Join the subtext group. It's in the description below, whether you're watching or you're listening. It is right there below. We'll talk about Army-Navy next. It's college football smothered and covered. Of course, we are powered by Locked On. Today's show brought to you by our good friends at FanDuel. Army-Navy this weekend, FCS playoffs coming up. We also have, of course, the college football playoffs starting next week, next Friday night. I will be there in South Bend, and you know you want to have some fun during that Indiana-Notre Dame game as well. FanDuel is the place for you. It's America's #1 sports book. Right now, you make your first $5 bet. If you win it, they will give you $150 in bonus bets guaranteed. Think about what you can do next weekend if you win a $5 bet this weekend. Even if you're not big into gambling, you can make a lot of money with that $150 in bonus bets. All you got to do is win one this weekend. A $5 bet, everybody's got $5. If you don't, fine. Don't go buy that $8 cup of coffee. That's not very good. The best thing about FanDuel, it's all right there for you. If you get a hunch in the middle of a game, live play-by-play stats, all right there. You can place a bet all on the same page. It's right there for you. Just visit FanDuel.com. FanDuel.com. Again, $5, you win it. They give you $150 in bonus bets guaranteed. Never waste a hunch and make every moment more with FanDuel, an official NFL sportsbook partner of the NFL. Army and Navy this weekend. I can give you a scouting report on this if I want to, but we just talked. FanDuel sponsors this game, and so sponsors this show. So we need to do what really matters in terms of enjoyment from a financial level, and that is, of course, talk about the line. First of all, this game's not about rivalries. It's not about it. It's about something bigger. It's about honoring the people who protect us and keep us safe. With that said, there will be some wagers. Right now, Army's a 6.5-point favorite. Look, I get it. That's a big line for this game. A big line. And that's the thing. If you have big lines, small over-under is 39.5. You have big lines, small over-under. Generally, it's the right thing to do to take the underdog. I'm not going to do that. Service, academy, unders. Always take them. Doesn't matter what it is. Always take them. I know these offenses have changed, and these are, I would say, more spread-ish oriented. Doesn't matter. Part of the reason for that in this specific game is that it means so much. It's that it means so much where you get the best out of everybody. But since both of these teams are still mostly triple option, and even if they go shotgun, they're still triple option. Let's be real. Since these teams are like that, the clock gets drained. But the men in the trenches give 100% effort for the entire game. And if you have a battle at the line of scrimmage, that's a stalemate, which generally speaking it is, you're not going to get a lot of points. Service Academy unders. If you go talk to Chip Patterson and Tom Fernelli and Danny Cannell and Bud Elliott over at Cover 3, all former colleagues of mine, when I was at CBS, they will say the same thing. I think it's like 14 out of the last 15, something like that. The unders have hit. Do it again. Do it again. You will be happy. Hey, you want to be a college football smothered and covered insider? Check the subtext link out below. We will be in South Bend, Indiana next week. So I will have all kinds of coverage from Notre Dame. I can text you. You can text me. Exclusive content right there in the subtext group. So don't forget to do that. Thank you for making this your first listen. Hey, for your second listen, go check out Spencer McLaughlin, Locked on College Football. You can also check out the conference channels as well. They do a great job over there. As for what happens here, we're not going to have a post-Heisman show, but I will be writing a Why I Voted For story that will go up in Outkick Saturday night once the ceremony wraps up. So check that out. You will find out who I voted for on my Heisman Trophy ballot. Unless breaking news changes everything, we will talk to you Monday. Have a great weekend. Be safe and enjoy Army Navy.